Hello, it's Mike, and welcome to our next segment of the Mike Ferry Sales System. You know, this next topic is probably one of the more important ones, and probably one of the ones that is probably the least talked about in the real estate business, and that is the topic of customer service. You know, it's interesting, if you go to a high-end department store, and you're going to buy a suit or a beautiful outfit or a dress for yourself or a fancy pair of shoes, you anticipate or expect the highest level of quality of service. You anticipate that. When you go to a high-end car dealership to buy a very expensive car, you expect, of course, high-end service, and you anticipate, because of the price you're paying, to expect to get that high-end service. You go to a nice hotel for the weekend, you and your spouse, you're going away for a holiday and you're staying in a very nice resort, and you anticipate and expect the highest quality service possible because you're paying for that kind of service. It's interesting that real estate people don't seem to understand that the quality of service that you and I offer the public should be at a minimum the same level of that high-end department store, that high-end car dealership, or certainly that high-end resort. Because what people are paying for our service is so much more than they would pay for a new dress or a pair of shoes. It's certainly a lot more they would pay for a night in a nice hotel if they're in a nice resort. People are paying a tremendous amount of money. You take 6%, 5%, 7%, depending on what you choose to charge, of $300,000, $500,000, $800,000, and we're talking about tens and tens of thousands of dollars in commissions being paid by the public for the service that we are supposed to render. And of course, the challenge that we face as real estate people is most of us do not have a thorough understanding of how to sell. We don't have a thorough understanding of the business of selling, and therefore, when we talk about things like customer service, we really don't have a clue. What is good customer service to the average agent who takes a listing? Throw it to MLS and pray to God that it sells. What is good customer service to the average agent that shows property? They just keep showing homes until the buyer buys ones in spite of the agent in most cases, and then they write an offer and hope the seller accepts it, and then they hope that that transaction closes, they get paid. See, the truth is, the majority of all the people you and I deal with every day are clueless when it comes to the sales process, good business sense, and more importantly, good customer service. We're going to look at a series of points on this particular CD regarding customer service. I want to trigger in your head different thought processes regarding customer service. I want to trigger in your head the thought that, guess what? If you do your job right, you can create for yourself wonderful long-term customers for life that will give you business forever. Again, if you go to a nice store and you buy a nice outfit and the service is good, which it almost always is, you'll go back time and time again. Many of you will buy cars from the same dealership because you got great service. And many of you will go back to the same resort because you received the quality of service you expect. Do most real estate clients come back to the same agent? The answer is no. And that's because the quality of service is at best poor. You and I need to take a stand and do something about that. So the first point I want to give you is this. There's a direct correlation between the income we receive and the level of service that we offer. If we want to improve our income, we improve the quality of our service. You know, people get mad at me all the time because I talk about money too much in my seminars, and I appreciate the fact they get mad. And the ones that get maddest are either those that don't know how to give good service, A, or B, don't make any money. See, there's a direct correlation between the quality of service I offer and what I get paid. I've had people say to me for years, I deserve more money. And I say, well, good, the customer deserves better service. It's like the old joke about the employee that says, I want a raise in pay, and the boss says your raise becomes effective when you become effective. It's really not that complicated. You know, why do so many agents make so much money and so many agents make so little? It all comes back to the quality of service. The second thing that I want to mention to you, point two, is you virtually have to make great customer service your obsession. You have to make it your obsession. You have to be obsessed with giving good service. It has to be the foremost thing in your mind. I will tell you that as an organization, we work on it every day. And yet at the same time, we still have clients get mad, clients that get upset. And usually when we get down to the heart of the matter, there's just been a miscommunication of some type, because miscommunication causes as much bad service as anything else. Number three, great customer service requires regular communication. Whether it's a listing in process, a sale in process, you have to talk to your clients every 7 to 10 days. How often Okay, is it when you take a listing, all of a sudden 30, 45 days have gone by, you've never spoken to the seller? How often does it happen that you've sold a home to somebody and all of a sudden 30 days go by, you're 10 days within closing, you've never spoken to the buyer? That is high quality, poor communication. You have to talk to your people on a regular basis to develop the relationship, the rapport, so they understand the process. Remember, every buyer and seller, no matter how many times they've done this in the past, are going to be nervous in the economy we have today as to whether that transaction is stable and will close. Regular communication, good customer service, solves that problem. Point 4, use all of your service providers to create better customer service. Title company, mortgage company, home protection company. These are companies that have only one goal in mind, and that is to help take care of your transaction. Call on them to create a better line of customer service. And then, of course, point number 5, start the process of under-promising and over-delivering. It's much better than over-promising and under-delivering. You know, you see this so often that you'll say to a seller, what happened? Why did your listing not sell? And you're talking to an expired, and they'll say to you, well, the agent promised us A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and quite honestly, we never heard from them again after they took the listing. We have no idea what they did. Or the other side, why are you going for sale by owner? Because we listed our home once for sale and the agent never talked to us, never did a darn thing. Customer service. Point number 6, great customer service revolves around answering any concerns that they have, doing what you told you were going to do, and telling them the truth. Guys and gals, there's only so many concerns a buyer or seller could have. You've been around the block, you know what they are. Deal with those concerns. Do what you tell them you're going to do. If you tell them you're going to call them Friday at 5 o'clock, call them Friday at 5 o'clock. And most importantly, tell them the truth. So what I recommend is point number 7 is that everybody should block out a 2-hour period of time every week where you talk to all of your sellers and all your buyers regarding their transaction. It doesn't have to be 2 hours straight. Maybe it's a half an hour, okay, 4 times a week. But you've got to put into your schedule a little time slot for customer service. Because as you know, the days go by very quickly, and pretty soon you've gone for days and days and days and days and never talked to the client at all. Point number 8, remember the qualities of reliability. I'll say this one again. Remember the qualities of reliability, dependability, and honesty are what they're looking for. Your buyers, your sellers, want an agent who is incredibly reliable. You don't have to, promise the moon, but how about if you just do the job that you told them you're going to do? Dependable. If you say you're going to call them at 4 o'clock, call them at 4 o'clock. And obviously honesty. Yes, nobody wants to hear the truth regarding price, but everybody knows that they have to hear the truth regarding price. Number 9, if you're using your staff for customer service, which some of you will do, have a simple checklist prepared for them that tells them what to do and when to do it. Make sure your staff knows what they're saying. Point 10, treat every person as you would like to be treated to enhance your customer service. And of course, let me tie that into point 11. Remember, customer service is a method of developing business both now and in your future. See, customer service really does become your residual income. Everybody, it says to me in real estate, well, how do you develop residual income? I said, well, you give such great service to all the buyers and sellers you deal with that the residual income is the referrals that they will be giving you and the fact they'll come back to you time and time again. Which ties us right into point number 12, which says your customers are your biggest asset. See, in real estate, as an agent, you're an entrepreneur, you have your own business, and people say to me all the time, is there ever going to be a point in my real estate career where I could actually sell my real estate sales business? Well, yes. First of all, you have to do a huge volume of business for a prolonged period of time. The majority of that business has to obviously come from listings taken and listings sold. You have to have a substantial inventory of listings in your inventory when you decide to sell. But most importantly, you have to have a real large past client center of influence prospect list that you've been working with for a long period of time, giving great service to and doing a good job for. Because see, if I was to buy your business and you never did a reasonable volume, you never made any money, and you didn't have a lot of past client centers of influence, what is there to buy? I can just go start my own for free. So remember, your customers are your biggest asset. Treat them with respect. And then, of course, I wrote down one of those common sense points. Be sure to say thank you to your customers on a regular basis. It emphasizes their value to you. Watch. Thank you are two very simple, very powerful, very meaningful words. Number 14, to remove the drama of the transaction, have solutions to common problems before they come up. Now, let's be honest. There really aren't going to be hardly any problems at all that you haven't heard of, seen before, and dealt with. And if you may not have seen it, I'm sure somebody around you in the office has. See, if we say to ourselves, okay, I've taken this listing, I've made this sale. Here's the potential things that could happen. And if you prepare for them, guess what? When they do come up, you have a solution, which makes the buyer and seller a lot happier. And then, of course, 15 is what most of us try to avoid in customer service. Encourage all of your clients to tell you what they liked and what they didn't like about this transaction that you've been involved in. Okay? What did you like about this transaction? What was good for you? What did you not like? What didn't work for you? Because, see, if I know that, then I can create solutions to that problem. Now, watch point 16. When listing a home for sale, tell them exactly what steps you're going to take to go get that property sold. If you use a plan of action, go through it point by point. Ask them to check off the different things on the plan of action as you accomplish them each week. Do the same for a transaction in process. Tell them the steps, keep them involved. This is the way you keep them happy. Point number 17, the highest level of service on a listing is to get the property sold. And the highest level of service on a transaction is to get the transaction closed. Remember, the buyer and seller always have the same goal, get the deal closed. We just have to make sure that each of the agents have the same goal. And then, of course, point 18 is something a lot of the top producers have been doing for years, and that's consider doing a survey of all of your clients after the closing. Ask them to respond whether the transaction was positive or negative. Why do we not do a survey? We don't want to hear the answers. And of course, 19, train your staff to ask for referrals whenever they speak to your clients, because the more ways we can ask for referrals, the better off we are. And then, of course, I look at point 20 and say, if I'm really going to, and I have to stress this a lot, if I'm really going to talk to them every 7 to 10 days, let them know what they need to know. Let them know that you care, but don't focus on the problems that they have, focus on the solutions. Instead of calling, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you're not going to believe what I've been going through this week. Oh my gosh, it's been such a challenge. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, we had a slight glitch. The problem's been solved. If you'd like to know what it was and how I solved it, fine. If not, let's move forward. Well, this is called good customer service. So here's what I want you to think about as we wind up this very simple message on customer service. Where have you gone? Where have you been? What have you paid for? Where you walked away and smiled and said, that was a great experience. Where have you gone? Where have you been? What have you paid for when you walked away and said, holy smoke, I would never go back there again. I want you to think about that, because what we want to do is we want to create in the minds of your clients the holy crow, that was a great experience. That, of course, means great customer service. So listen to this particular CD several times, because believe me when I tell you, customer service is the name of the game. Remember, there's always going to be a direct correlation between the income that I have and the quality of service I give. As I develop better quality service, I will always create a much larger income. Let's have some fun and let's move forward.